where is your data hosted and what is the disaster recovery options?
Yes, thank you. That'll be for me.
Great question. There you go. Dan, take it away.
Yeah. So we've actually moved to Oracle Cloud. So is this mic working? Yes, that's good. Yeah, so it's now in Oracle Cloud hosted in Sydney. And so they've got their disaster zone also in Sydney, but we've also built it in a really modular way that you can actually manage your own backups. So this is a future goal for RiskEZI, or DDMS for Biz is what we also call it. It's a nickname for it. It's it's in container program, so that's how it's siloed. Everyone gets their own container, or 2 or 3, depending on what plan you're on. So it's really easy for us to actually increase your performance. There's automatic failover with load balancers, so it's on a number of servers already. And so if any server goes down, it's automatic, you wouldn't even know about it. So it's all built on the Kubernetes cluster, if you're familiar with Kubernetes, all fully automated. And it does allow, for, as we grow, we can scale pretty much infinitely. It's, built well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great question, Greg. Anne was next.
So I'm very technical and I want to win a thing. I just want to say thank you, Daniel, for your heart for the churches and for using tech for the churches. We really appreciate it. I don't know many people in that little space, and you're incredibly generous with it, and I want to thank you.
Thank you.
All of us here.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Can I win one of those?
Sure, that's fine. Well, on the generosity as well, I would love to give it away for free, but I realise that Oracle charged me to host it. And as I'm growing the team, unfortunately, they don't like to work for free. So you know, I really want to grow a team that can actually continue to look after this into the future.
Yeah.
And so that's why we thought we'd start off with this event, inviting everyone to get on board, but we really want to grow it to be a scalable product that it can be, it can grow and support people better.
Particularly churches.
Yes, Anne, you can have one. Anyone else have a question? Jenny?
I was going to say, I'll ask the question for Anne. So with a stable at Riverway hat on, we already use DakTech and really appreciate the volunteer registration system. Thank you very much, Daniel. So how does this package sit with that, where we currently put risk assessment material in there for the volunteers each year?
Yeah.
So how would this done?
Yeah, so previously you were working on a different system, so a custom-built volunteer registration system, but for years now I've been secretly planning to merge it into RiskEZI, and this may be the year that you'll be using. Actually, the last 2 years with the app, you've actually been using the new RiskEZI, but just with the app. And so as we bring more features across, hopefully this year you'll all be using RiskEZI, and they'll open up a lot more of this functionality that you have, like for example the risk management, the documents, and but yeah, mainly the volunteer registration part that'll be handled as a little module. So the core platform, which is RiskEZI, when we add new features like meetings,
Yeah.
everyone will benefit from that. But where we build a custom package that really might only suit one church organisation, that's actually a plugin. So I don't know if you're familiar with WordPress or something like that. You start with a website and just install plugins, and that kind of enhances that core thing. DDMS for Biz, or RiskEZI, is the WordPress engine, and we can really easily plug in custom modules for people. And already we have businesses using it, and some businesses ordering gas with it. Another business, East Kimberley Coast Guard, they use it to manage their boats going out on the water. And so the back end for that is RiskEZI.
Yeah.
We just build them a plugin, and so they can log in. They manage all our boats in the asset management system, and do risk assessments and documents.
Great question, Jenny, and thanks for that explanation, Daniel. To possibly put it in slightly more everyday language, RiskEZI or DDMS is kind of like the basic model automobile, right? It's the car. But then we've got all sorts of modules that can be rolled out with the car that can be just standard, default, come with it. Or, as Dan was talking about for plugins, we can do something specific and just put that in because it's your need. So plugins, modules, slightly different, but essentially the same basic system that can be customised to whatever any business need is. We just want to bless the churches first. So, great question. Do we have 2 more?
Oh, in the front row.
Oh, it's somebody from Northern Beaches Connections
I
has a
don't know
question.
what's going to happen now.
Hopefully for their pastor.
Thanks, Smokey.
You might have already answered it based off the last answer, but given how broad risk is defined currently in legislation, what is the scope is there for risk? Are we talking just safety? Are we talking reputational to the church as well? Environment, et cetera,
Yeah, so it is very modular. I'll probably hand that over, but we have made it very flexible. So we've got universities using these same modules as well, and they manage risk slightly different, slightly more intense. And as intense, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's fully customizable that you can actually store whatever you want in there, really. We've just tried to make it very easy to use, but there's lots of horsepower behind the scenes to customize, I guess, all of the wording, even the risk matrix. You can set that up however you want. Yeah, very flexible. But I don't know, Karyn, did you want to speak to any of that?
I think we need to hear from Karyn on this one.
To help me.
I can help.
Yeah. I didn't use the term reputational risk, but really that is the reputational risk that I was referring to, wanting in my personal heart to protect the church. So reputational risk, we want to be able to stand before a court and say, yeah, we do have documentation that we've planned well here. We do want documentation that says at this point in time was the code of conduct that our volunteers worked with. So we do want to have a system with those fancy high security measures that Daniel speaks and I've got no idea about, but from malicious intent and all of that. So I guess reputational risk is something that we do. When I talk about protection, that's what I'm talking about. Environmental risk and all of that. It's probably not relevant to the room here, but we can build that in. You can build that in any risk assessment, understanding things.
Add to that.
Great question, Sean, and you got yourself a mouse, Matt. Before we go on a little bit more, I think it's worth saying that, this is a system we built originally for a specific request from Calvary, but it doesn't have everything yet, but it has the capacity to add whatever you need. So, if you're thinking like 5 or 6 different categories of risk, and can I make up a separate one for each one? Can I do a risk profile of my whole church or whatever? Yes-ish. Maybe not quite able to do anything you want yet, but has the capacity to grow into it. So talk to us, we can help. And if this doesn't work at all, you're like, I need something totally different. We can build that too. So, any more questions? Come on, I've got one left. Laura, you going to do it? Yeah.
You better answer this one, Chris.
For those of us who are computer illiterate, including myself, say someone is entering data about a risk or a situation and they enter it wrong. For example, a youth worker once entered a case study plan for a kid and he was writing, this child has dental work done, he meant annually, but he wrote anally. And this went straight into the system and didn't get cleared, and it then went through some levels before someone recognised that this kid was getting dental work done anally, which is not looking
Not the
good.
goal.
So, yeah, we have really... So it's like a paper form. No, this is good. We would love to have edit buttons, but really that doesn't then, I guess, give those compliance...
The integrity.
The integrity.
Yeah.
So you do get a second chance to review it before you do the final submit. So it says, is everything you've written here correct? Yes. And then it's like a locked-in form, like a paper form. But you can then go and make comments. So, yeah, you can comment. And there's lots of privacy settings around. Say you wanted to submit something that involves one of your leaders. You can actually, before you hit submit, control who would actually get a notification, who can see that. So by default, your department leader of the department you're submitting it would get a copy of it. you would be able to see it after you submit it, but then your boards and your risk management committees, they all get to see it. And so before you hit submit, you can actually see who those people are that are going to get notified, and you can choose to maybe exclude a few of them if you think it's necessary.
But good question.
Do we think that was a great question or a good question? There's only one left.
Competition is now amping up.
Let's see what John has to ask first.
Is there currently or in the future plans for AI integrations into?
Yes, for spelling check.
As much as Raji hates AI, yes, we've already got some actual, like I said, it's an engine. And so already I'm working on some plugins because we use it for our own ticketing system. And so I've got it in beta at the moment, or beta. So it would actually review our ticket for us and give a summary that we can then put that on the invoice. And so our techs should be doing that, but techs are good at fixing computers and not so great at English all the time. So yeah, we can leverage AI to actually help with that. I have been looking into options for integrating it for helping to fill out risk assessments and things like that, but I'll have to do a lot more, I guess, work around that. You've got to find the balance of if you just give somebody a template, they might not even read it, and so you want them to go on the journey to actually understand their risks and understand the mitigation. And so yes, we want to help them, fill it in with the English and with the writing full sentences, but we really don't want to just give them everything and, so it's just a bit of paper sitting there on a shelf. We want them to understand that risk.
Yeah. You could use it for your standard work procedures, so we have that available.
Yeah.
If you understand the beautiful language of risk management, some like to develop standard work procedures which are, this is what we're putting in place, this is what you need to do each and every time. You could definitely AI that, but I think your individual events, people might be doing it on the side, but you can just force them to actually do it. Otherwise, the integrity of what assessment is compromised.
Yes, I'd really love your input and feedback on that. So, how we can actually leverage these tools to, make it easier for you guys, but not compromise on risk.
Some of that is what this conversation is all about. As we, as tech-headed people can think, oh, this would be really cool to have this, this, and this. If it's not actually helpful to you guys, or worse, if it actually takes you out of the process, so it's not actually applicable to your church and your system, then that's a bigger problem. So, yeah, we need the input, we need the user requirements to come from you guys. Now, Laura, how badly do you want it? Because I kind of like John's question better.
I'm sure we can work something out for Chris and Laura. Yeah.
We don't. John gets it to raise. We'll find some other way to thank you. We're out of mouse mats then. But does anyone else have a question? We've got time for one more. Maybe a question for Chris? No?
You don't need to ask.
Yeah, Chris, what polish do you use? Sorry. My question is, in terms of...
I use wax, not polish. It's
wax?
Yeah, it works much better.
Wonderful. My question is, in terms of user interface for people, is there an app available? Is it just an online system? And what have you got in store for that? The reason being, most of my youth leaders, if it's not on an app, they're not using it.
Yeah, so how it was actually come to us to say, hey, can you build something that our youth can use? And they said it needs to work on an iPad, and so we've actually built it as a web app, so much easier than trying to go through app stores and all the rest. So when you open it, it can feel like you're actually on an app, but it's a website. So it's journeyed along the way, so we've made it so that it will be very responsive, so it can actually react to whatever screen size you want. Everything will fold around, and we've worked to just sort of make sure that every page does render fine on phones, but there is things in the pipeline to actually build it as a progressive web app, so that allows for some offline functionality as well. So if you lose access to the internet, you can still access some things, etc. But these days, really, for it to be up to date and everything, you do want it online real time. But progressive web app is in the journey, and once you've got it as a progressive web app, it's not that hard to actually publish it to app stores if you really want to, but we've found that it's much easier to keep off the app stores and just have it. So, like for example, the Stable app, when you visit it on the phone, it actually pops up, you want to install it on your home screen, just say yes, and then it pops up as an icon on your screen, you just open it from there. It feels like an app, but really it's just a website.
It definitely is intended to be mobile friendly though, so yeah.
And that incident reporting works really well
Yeah.
as an app feature, but writing a risk assessment doesn't work well as an app feature. So
Yeah. You can do it, whether or not you want to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely from the end user's point of view of viewing the event, creating incident reports, that's all very app friendly.
Yeah.
Sitting down, building risk assessments and things, you probably want to do that on a computer.
But being the moderator for our site, I check it. Yeah, even on holidays, I just check it on my phone. Very easy to read, very easy to make comments on. So even in we deliver some like childcare service outside of school hours, care services, so we can have parents sign off on the accident form and that gets uploaded as well, just using the iPad. Yeah.
Awesome question, Haz, thanks. We actually are over time, but we started late, but we've now caught up. So, whatever that means, it's pretty much time to end the panel. So unless there's one more burning question, we will do that, and then it's basically just over to you guys to network, finish off the food.
Yeah, finish off the food, please.
Fill in the feedback form so that we can get your feedback on how this could be made better or what your burning questions are. Maybe use that QR code if you want a free demonstration, install, and potentially maybe be a long-term customer. That would be great.
You want to tell them about maybe the workshops you might be running?
Yes, we also intend to run workshops and webinars for people that are interested in either exploring it for themselves or actually becoming clients. And another thing to do with that is we're trying to raise up more people like Karyn, people who are RiskEZI champions who will spread the word for us and say, hey, there are these guys that really want to help churches. Maybe they've got a bit of software that you could use for yours. So if you're interested in being a RiskEZI champion, or you're interested in signing up, or you want to come to a webinar and just learn some more, hit us up. That's going to be my job, chasing up anyone that wants to be involved in anything. But let's give the panel a big clap, and then they can